you've worked for GSK, AstraZeneca, a number of other pharma companies. Tell us about why you love it, what kept you in it all these years.
I like the flexibility of the role because you're not sat in an office 9 to 5. At first it is really quite scary, and it's a lot of knocking on doors and being turned away. So I do feel in sales sometimes you have to be quite thick-skinned.
Nice.
You do. I think there was days, I think when I first started there was weeks I didn't even see anybody, and you can be so disheartened and you can think, you can take it personally, but actually you then get in front of one customer and have the right conversation and it goes really well, and that gives you the buzz.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So when you start, what does training look like?
We had a 6-week training program, and most of your sales training is on the job, and you learn yourself. Yeah,
like for someone who's coming out of college, marketing degree, sales degree, and they're watching this, and they're thinking about what to do, are there tons of opportunities?
Yes, I've done quite a lot of recruiting over the last few years, and actually sometimes a rookie straight from university is actually more hungrier for it. You can mould them to the way you like to sell. 20 years ago, you could take a GP out for a coffee or a meal and have an hour-long conversation. Now, sometimes you're lucky to get a 3-minute conversation with them. So,
aren't you not allowed to do that now?
You can't take them out for meals. So things have changed so much over the past 20 years. Actually, it shows who the really good salespeople are.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it's just on you. You're not giving them anything else. You're not bribing them in any other way. It's you and your conversation.
Yeah, you can't take them to Bristol Rovers then.
Definitely can. Would love to, but can't do that.
You've worked for some massive drug companies and you worked for some small ones.
So some of the big multinationals I've worked for, you have the huge support network in head office. Some of the smaller ones I've worked for, actually, it's quite nice because you get to be a little bit involved in the sales and marketing side of things, and you get to know the medical team one-on-one. You get to know the head of marketing one-on-one, and you get to really be involved in the campaigns, etc. So career progression was always important to me. I feel personally it's so important to do the groundwork, so to be on the front line, to be the salesperson. But through all the stages, I had some knockbacks and didn't get some of the jobs and the progression, and I was lucky enough to get the progression in probably a 10-year period, which for somebody straight from uni is pretty impressive.
So how has the pharma world with maternity cover, and how's it impacted you, as a woman in a sales role?
So I have always known I wanted children, but I did always want to have a career, and I think the further I progressed with pharma companies and got to management level, it kind of, you have to weigh up that balance. Do you want career or do you want to have children? And actually within the pharmaceutical industry, I think I was really lucky enough that I could do both. So my experience personally has been really positive. As soon as you announce you were pregnant, the companies that I work for do everything to try and support you, whether it's support with driving, they do a health and safety check to make sure everything's okay in the workplace for you.
Amazing.
And the nice thing in the UK, you can have 9 months off paid, whether it's statutory or whether the company pay you privately, and then you can take another 3 months unpaid. So you are entitled to a year off work to be with your children, and your role is held open for you to come back to. But I really felt that I needed to go back to work to get my identity back and actually have some adult conversations as well, rather than singing nursery rhymes constantly. So no, my experience with pharma is really good actually, and I think most of the UK, the maternity leave policy is really, really positive for women as well.
Yeah. Have you made a lot of friends in pharma?
Yeah, I still keep in contact with a couple of friends who were on my initial ITP.
Oh, that's cool.
So great Facebook and Instagram to keep in contact with people. I've made a lot of friends, and probably because I don't stop talking though, to be honest. I've made them be my friends, but no.
It's a one-way friendship.
Yeah, it's just that.
Day in life then, so like you're up early, I know you're driving around a lot, long hours, lots of meetings, lots of phone calls.
Yeah, I'd say if I go back to being a rep rather than a manager, day in the life of a rep, you get yourself up, probably check your emails before you leave the house, out the door by 7:30, 8 o'clock, quite often you drop your card into different surgeries to try and see somebody and get a call back later on. And then you can pop into pharmacies and try and speak to a pharmacist to find out what's going on in the local area, what their intake is. And then normally between about 11 and 1 is your prime time to go in and try and see some customers, because they normally finish their morning surgery and before afternoon surgery. So you can try and go and see some customers then. And then after 1 o'clock is usually when sometimes nurses have admin time, so they might see you, but mainly it's the relationships you've built up. So if you've seen someone a couple of times, they would say to you, come and see me at 2:30 on a Monday, because that's when I'm free. So and then you normally come home probably at 4 o'clock-ish and get your admin done for the day. You may have an evening meeting to go to, or most days it's probably go home by about 4 o'clock-ish and get your admin done for the day. But it's nice because it's flexible. You make your own appointments.
Do you deal with a lot of gatekeepers? I imagine if you go into a surgery that it's the front desk you've got to deal with.
To be honest, in primary care, the reception staff are your gatekeepers, and they have a really stressful and busy job, and have huge demand on surgeries at the moment. So it's having that little bit of common courtesy and emotional intelligence.